going on, everybody? Welcome on in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman. Now, coming up on today's show, I want to dive into 5 players that are currently starters for your Minnesota Vikings who could be on the hot seat heading into this next season. Now, I want to get this disclaimer out here real quick. This is more about the players behind them rather than the players themselves, because a lot of these guys are fan favorites, household name amongst Vikings fans. So this is more about the depth on the football team and also a couple of moves that Kwesi Adofo-Mensah has made this offseason that makes me think that there is a little more pressure on these Viking starters and these 5 guys than most of us fans think. But let me ask you guys this before we start here. Name a player on the hot seat for the Minnesota Vikings. Get creative for me down below in the comment section. If you have a starter right now that you can maybe see them losing their starting position, maybe not during the year, but potentially after the season, I'm going to hear your thoughts down below. All right, so the first guy we're going to dive into is going to be Harrison Phillips, veteran, journeyman defensive tackle for our Minnesota Vikings. Now, I am a massive Harrison Phillips fan. He is great for this locker room. He is really good in the run defense, and he is just that big old body in the middle that could just take on double teams, open up lanes for linebackers. But why I am saying he is on the hot seat has really nothing to do with him. It has to do with this big fella, number 61, former UFL star, actually, Jalen Redmond. And don't sleep on Jalen Redmond, because if you guys remember the run he had last season, it started in that Atlanta Falcons game, Week 14. He started not just playing good football, he started dominating football games. And here are his PFF grades, again, in very limited action this past year, but still got up to 208 snaps. But his PFF grades, 77.2 overall. That was 13th out of all 219 eligible defensive tackles. Pass rush, 64.5. Run defense, 73.0. And with the Vikings also adding in 2 pass rush specialists at the defensive line, in a Javon Hargrave, in a Jonathan Allen. Maybe they like to mix it up a little bit. So don't be shocked if Redmond ends up getting a lot of playing time this year. But, if we look back at what Harrison Phillips did this past season, he was all right. Obviously he was playing a lot of snaps for this team, 672, and just that big man in the middle, but didn't really grade out too well. According to PFF, 58.8 overall grade. That was 88th. Pass rush, 103 at 60, and then 54.0 for the run defense, which was 102. Now, why he might be on the hot seat is his contract. I could see him being a prime cut candidate after this season. Now, if he, again, has a very good year, he can shut me up very, very quickly. But let's just say the Vikings could save like $5 million in 26. I could see him being a cut candidate. They go allocate those funds, elsewhere. But I think for Harrison Phillips versus Jalen Redmond, I could see this battle even starting to heat up during training camp, where if Redmond is turning heads and a guy like Brian Flores is looking at this guy being like, hey, we need to just get him more reps out there, because we saw him also last year. It was game-to-game strides. It was play-to-play strides where every single rep he got, you felt like he was building on it. He was kind of get that snowball rolling a little bit. So if Redmond continues to develop, I could really see him out-snapping Phillips this year. And that has nothing to do with Phillips. It just has to do with Jalen Redmond. I think he is that special. I mean, for a guy who also, I remember I did a video when the Vikings originally signed him last summer. He was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. He dealt with some issues at Oklahoma. Then he finally got picked up by the Vikings, and he has been awesome. So don't sleep on Jalen Redmond. I think he could have a monster year and potentially put Harrison Phillips to the bench at some point. Now, coming in here at number 2, Jalen Speedy Nailor. I had a tough time putting him on this list because I have a feeling a lot of people would be saying, oh, here you go talking about Jalen Nailor again, yada, yada, yada. And I understand that. But honestly, Speedy can shut me up very, very fast. Like, let's just say Addison, when he is suspended for the first 1 to 3 games of this season, and maybe Speedy steps up and he's locking in at that wide receiver 2 role and he looks awesome, I will admit I was wrong right away. But I can't get over the fact that the Vikings drafted Tai Felton in round 3. This was, again, a draft where the Vikings heading in only had 4 draft picks. And you drafted Tai Felton for a reason. I think Tai, and again, Tai was a 3rd-round pick. Jalen Nailor was a 6th-round pick. So there is just more raw ability with Felton. And you would also have to put some faith in a guy like Keenan McCardell, wide receiver coach for the Vikes, that he could develop Felton and make him just a better overall player than Jalen Nailor. And also with Nailor entering a contract year, we already got Tai Felton locked up for at least the next 3 seasons, assuming after this one. So you could just slide him in the wide receiver 3, have him be on that round 3 rookie scale contract, where if you would have to go pay Jalen Nailor, I could see him wanting maybe $8 to $10 million per season. But There is a reason for everything in the NFL, and there is a reason the Vikings used one of their only premium picks on a wide receiver. And maybe it's not even them not having faith in Jalen Nailor. Maybe they still love Jalen Nailor. They think one of the better wide receiver threes in the league. But if you got to go give him that big contract and they love Tai Felton so much, maybe that was the plan all along. As you go draft a wide receiver, you just keep on cycling in and out wide receiver threes. Kind of like how they traded, or not traded, how they let KJ Osborne walk, where we were all, big fans of KJ. He did a solid job at that role. But again, the wide receiver three position for the Vikings, you're probably getting the easiest looks in the league because of Jefferson, Addison, and TJ Hawkinson, and hopefully with an improved run game. I mean, Nailor or Felton or Rondo Moore, whoever it may be, they're going to get a lot of one-on-one opportunities with some cornerback threes on other teams where the cornerback position in the NFL, it's tough to find a team that has three corners that they absolutely love. So just watch out for Tai Felton taking over Nailor's job. Maybe not this year, but maybe heading in the next year. But I'll ask you guys this. Pick a wide receiver three for me. Give me a number one for Speedy down below in the comment section. Speedy, still love you. Still one of my favorite players on this Vikings team, but still reading the tea leaves here a little bit on what could happen next offseason. But if you're rocking with Tai Felton, give me a 13 down below. Now we're going to get to three more players here in a second who could be on the hot seat for your Minnesota Vikings. But before we do so, I got to tell you guys about a new product here at Vikings Now by Chat Sports, and that is Factor Form's Daily Greens. Start your day right with Daily Greens by Factor Form at factor75.com/VikingsChat to get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. I have tried other green supplements in the past, really wasn't a big fan, and I swore I was never going to try them again until I pivoted to trying Factor Form's Daily Greens. Now, let's be honest. Most of us dread drinking greens, but Factor Form changed the game. You actually crave your greens, and as the sister brand of Factor Meals, Factor Form was designed to work hand in hand with your meals, making better nutrition effortless. Daily Greens is a green powder by Factor Form. You look forward to drinking. Just one scoop delivers 100% of your daily nutrients, filling nutrient gaps, supporting whole body health, and helping you feel your best. With a refreshing, citrusy, clean, and smooth taste that's actually enjoyable to drink, mix a single-serve pack in water, and you're good to go. Now, my favorite part of Daily Greens by Factor Form is that they ranked number one in taste, texture, and aroma, beating out the biggest names in the industry. So start your day right with Daily Greens by Factor Form at factor75.com/VikingsChat to get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. That's factor75.com/VikingsChat for 40% off plus free shipping. Hit that link in the comment section and description of today's show, factor75.com/VikingsChat. All right, let's dive into it. Three more names that could be on the hot seat this upcoming season for the Minnesota Vikings, and another fan favorite here. Personally, one of my favorite players in the National Football League, and I already see where this picture and what game this is from. This is on Ivan Pace's scoop and score last year versus the Detroit Lions, but I am going to put him at number 3 on this list. And like I was saying, this has nothing to do with Pace. Pace is awesome. He is everything and more we wanted him to be, being a UDFA. But again, there's a reason they drafted Kobe King. We'll talk about that here in a second. But also Pace, I think even more than Nailor, can shut me up very, very fast. Because this is a guy, especially when Blake Cashman's in the lineup and you let Pace play a lot more free, because we also saw last year when he's wearing the green dot and he's that final communicator on defense, he can kind of get in his own way a little bit, kind of slows down his pace of play, but he can shut me up very fast if he has another good year for the Vikings. Again, does struggle in coverage, even though he did have a pick 6 this past week against Brett Rippon, so hopefully that coverage for Pace continues to improve. But again, Kobe King was drafted for a reason, and he is a carbon copy of Ivan Pace Jr., and he's a little bigger. I think he's a little more athletic than Pace. Now, does he have that dog mentality that Pace does? Hate kind of throwing that word out there, but I mean, it is true. Pace is just a dog at the linebacker position, but Kobe King also has that as well. So with Pace in a contract year, I don't know how much he would get on the open market, because I do feel like he is a perfect chess piece in this Brian Flores system. So maybe he would want like $5 to $7 million with the Vikings, but another team would just maybe give him like 3 to 5. We'll see how that plays out. But again, you got to start reading the tea leaves here. There's a reason Kobe King was drafted. Now we're going to kick it to the running back position. And, I don't know if this qualifies for Aaron Jones to really be on the hot seat, since even if Jordan Mason ends up having a monster season and he looks like a top 3 running back in the league, Aaron Jones will still have a massive, massive role. But I also think tail half of the season, Jordan Mason will be the lead back. Because when it's playing physical football, it gets colder in the months of December and January. And those are months, you know, historically under Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings have not been able to run the ball at a high enough level to get playoff wins. I think Jordan Mason is a perfect scheme fit. But also, I think Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones complement each other perfectly. Because if you guys have seen the clips at training camp so far, Jordan Mason looks like he put on 10 to 15 pounds. He looks absolutely massive next to Aaron Jones. So could this be the new Gibbs and Montgomery? I know every NFL team right now is trying to replicate this, where you have that lead, scat back, the home run hitter in Jahmyr Gibbs, which, would kind of be the role that Aaron Jones plays. And I think Aaron Jones, even though he was already dynamic in the receiving game last year, I could see that even being more of an uptick this upcoming season. But I'm sure they're viewing Jordan Mason as that David Montgomery, where when you're on the goal line, he's the running back in there. He can fall forward. He can turn, even if he's tackled at the line of scrimmage, he'll just roll over the top of the guy, pick up 3 to 4 extra yards. So I could see the Vikings replicating that. But, again, this is not really a hot seat situation with Aaron Jones. It's more of just hey, the guy behind him, I think, is one of the better running backs in the league. He can end up taking a lot of his snaps this year. Now we'll kick it back to defense, to the safety position on this one. A guy who is a massive X factor. A guy who this team is expecting a lot of this upcoming season, where in the past he really hasn't played that role. Theo Jackson. Now, not only is he going to have a massive, year for the Vikings and just for himself, but this is huge for his future in the NFL, because the Vikings will run 3 safeties almost 100% of plays. You will rarely see the Vikings roll out 3 or 4 cornerbacks and only have 1 or 2 safeties. It's normally the opposite. It is 3 to 4 safeties on the field, and sometimes you only have 1 cornerback out there. But for a guy like Theo Jackson, clearly this team and this coaching staff is very high on him, and specifically Brian Flores here. Like, Flores has pounded the table all offseason, be like, hey, this is my guy. He's extremely versatile. He's got great instincts. Is he that stellar athlete that you normally see out of star safeties? Not necessarily, but his instincts are there. His technique is there, and he's also very comfortable in the system because this is his 3rd year. He has been around Flores and the guys. He has been also learning from a guy like Harrison Smith for the past couple of seasons, which I think cannot be undersold. So, massive year for Theo Jackson, but if he also doesn't end up working out, you only signed him for a 3-year, $9 million deal. If he doesn't seem like a guy in the NFL, you could just go draft his replacement. Maybe it's Coy Parrish from Minnesota. He was talking about being a Minnesota Viking. I could see that being the Vikings' first-round pick in 2027 when he is eligible to come out. But I got high hopes for Theo Jackson. And I see all these guys on the list. They're all hell of football players. I could see all of them having very good years for the Vikings. And then this video looks very stupid looking back on it in a year from now, which, honestly, I hope is the case. But if you guys made it to the end of today's show, give me a skull down below in the comments section. And also, if you guys have any more questions, comments, concerns around your favorite football team, hit me up on Twitter. That's a handle right there at Pat Sieps. I'll see you guys next time. As always, Skol Vikes.